Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence. I'm Shane. Thank you so much for joining on this beautiful Tuesday. And we are joined today with Michelle Wolfe. How are you doing today, Michelle?
I'm doing great. Still here, a little tired, but still vibing high and still here.
You know, I meant to tell you about this dream I had before we went on the air or whatever, because it was strange, and I want to get your take on it because you deal with dreams a lot or whatever. So I went golfing, right? I haven't been golfing in quite a while, but I went golfing with someone that I'd gone golfing with, like, I want to say a couple of decades ago or something. I mean, it's been a while. So we're at this place, we're about to golf. I'm about to tee off, and I noticed that instead of my ball, there's like a chunk of asphalt there, right? And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not. And I'm like, sorry, guys, sorry. I was already running late, it felt like, you know, and they'd already teed off. They're waiting on me or whatever. So I run back to my bag and I pull out some more balls. I come over there and I go to tee off, and it's like the ball's messed up. It's got like, what do you call the little tee things? They're like poking out of it, like they got stuck in the ball. It's jacked up. I can't use the ball. I grab another one. It's messed up or whatever. So I go back to my golf bag again to get some more balls. And I finally get one. I get there and they've all left me, right? And they close down. They start setting up an area for lunch where it's weird dreams. You know what I mean? But there was no way for me to tee off at that point. So I just had to get my stuff and try to catch up with them. So then I woke up and I was like, wow, that's strange. And it's like the message I got immediately was like, you're playing the game with the wrong ball or with a messed up ball. So I'm like, all right, am I on the wrong track about something, or what the heck does this mean? You know, and I thought about it. What comes to your mind?
You're worried about being behind the ball. You're worried about not having the tools you need in order to play the game. And you're worried about being left behind because of it. So I'm seeing more that you're feeling like you don't maybe have the equipment you need. Is there something that you feel like you're missing to do your shows, or are you having frustration with your equipment or tools?
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. I definitely feel like I'm limping along here with what I have, but I make it work. You know what I mean? But it does feel like it is holding me back a little bit.
I think it's to me it seems like that's the that you don't have the tools that you really feel are going to work. You know, what you have in your bag isn't what you need to play the game, you feel like. But really, you have to remember that your bag is actually Mary Poppins' bag, right? So when you reach your hand in, your expectation of what you are going to find. So you were probably already worried, like you said, you were already rushed, you're already running late, you're already behind. So you're trying to catch up. So when we're already in that stage of feeling that, you know, disconnected, like we have to, you know,
but haste makes waste sort of mentality.
And then already is trickling to frustration, and you're like, oh, you know, oh, it's not the right ball, and you're like, I've got the wrong, you know, I don't have the right thing, and you reach in and you just are pulling out more and more of the not good enough, not the wrong thing. No, that's not quite right. No, that's not quite. Now everybody's gone. I missed my opportunity. I missed my chance.
That's right? Good.
So that I can play the game. But yeah, I would remind you that your bag is up to you as well too. So yeah. So
when I reach my hand in and I pull out something.
Yeah.
It's
So it's a reminder as well that your expectations and your frustrations are leading to your circumstance as well. So don't focus on the lack, focus on the abundance. Find the abundance to focus on. Even when you see the lack, find the abundance and focus the intention on that.
I see.
And then you'll reach in the bag and you will be pulling out more abundance.
That's good because
Yeah.
I was sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, games are a competition, but this didn't feel like I was like competing against the other people. It just felt like we're hanging out.
You want to keep up.
Right, but I wanted to keep up with them because I didn't want them to, it wasn't like so much like I was trying to beat them at a score, like you think of, it was more like a leisurely game of golf where we're just playing together. And but yeah, I was holding them up, you know what I mean? And it felt like I didn't have the right ball for the game. And so that's pretty much the feelings.
You're focusing too much on the tools you don't have instead of the tools that you do have. And remember, they're not always physical things. So I actually just listened to a really good, Abraham Hicks. Abraham Hicks. This morning, it just and it's been playing in my mind all morning, and I think it really brings that up again as well. And she was talking about the woman that she is. Sorry, because Abraham's the channel, right? And I can't remember her name, but she's
Esther Hicks.
Right. So you know how she talks about Hester like in the third person when she's channeling? Right. So she's talking about Hester being on this plane flight and being very satisfied and content, and and she was in first class and she's like, oh, wow, she's just so satisfied with her experience there. And she pulls up a blanket and she covers herself and she's like, I'm just, so satisfied. I feel so good. And then she's like, oh, you have your sunglasses, put that, and that made her more satisfied. And each thing made her more comfortable to the point where a flight attendant came over and offered her something that they normally never do, all just in an effort to make her, oh, I thought this would make you more comfortable. It's like the universe, the more you're dwelling on the comfort, the universe is then just pulling in and going, yes, how can we show you that you're comforted? So, but it seems it's really easy to get distracted. I know I have, the struggles too with me starting to try to do, videos, and I didn't have equipment and everything. And it can be a tricky balance between, not focusing on those things. Like, don't you think you should be worrying about that? Don't you think you should be worrying about what you don't have instead of focusing on, the happy joy thoughts and the contented thoughts? And I think this is the real trick right now. It's been coming to me in different ways because I'm hearing that voice. That voice that's always telling us what we don't have, what we should be doing, what we should be worrying about. Don't you have something better to do? Don't you have something else you should be worrying about? You'll never get that done anyways. This voice, and I've noticed it with other people, because it's part of the thing that can step into this purging process, kind of like when we get flushed out with this wave and this water and we get cleared out, then what comes to the surface kind of bubbles up is all these little residual ego thoughts that we're just so used to having. We're just so used to listening to and thinking that that's that's us talking to us, saying, don't you have something better to do? Or, all those little things, that voice that ruins the party all the time.
Yeah. It's the typical angel and devil on the shoulders, really. And you can tell it when it's focusing you on lack. It's the devil. It's saying, well, you could be doing this, but you don't have that. And, I've even struggled with this just in the last few days. I was like, man, I love doing what I do, but it would be so much easier just to go back to work and not to struggle financially. And it's just, and I was like, where did that come from? I've been trusting things that could get taken care of, and they've
Me
been getting taken
too.
care of. But,
Me too.
at the same time, I'm like, it would just be
Oh,
so much easier to go back to the grind. And I mean, in one sense, it's easier to sort of be asleep and just at least, because I was content. I wasn't sort of in the grind of trying to have more and more and more. When I was working, it was just like, let's make a living and enjoy life. It wasn't like sometimes you make more money and you want more things. And I never really got caught up in that loop. I was always content where I'm at. I'm like, we're in a
but
decent
it did
neighborhood.
happen because you can't stay there.
Right.
It did happen. You
Yeah.
weren't content, because you can't stay in that reality because again, your life, this life is a spiritual life. That's your life.
Yeah.
So it will always push you out of that comfort zone for this bigger comfort zone, for this bigger journey of the bigger truth that is your life. Because that's not what life is about.
Right.
Going through those motions and being lulled by it. So eventually it's not so easy, and that's what forces us to change. There is no, we can wish you can go back there, but it won't let us stay there.
No.
No,
And
no.
like I said, I didn't know where that came from. I'm like, there's no way, you know what I mean?
It's
But
been popping up in me too. And it's been popping up for my oldest daughter. And she has a much harder time with it because she still hasn't realized that it's not actually her. It's like a broken record. So I've been really processing this idea quite a bit and have done quite a bit of writing about it. And I've come up with a skit that I'm working on a video for where I'm doing the artwork and going to kind of tell the story because what I've realized is through this process of learning my authentic self and my authentic voice, that other voice has become more hollow sounding, more like a broken record, more like it's not really me. It's just repeated words. It's basically if you listen to a couple questions that it asks you that you should be doing, it will immediately pull out a list of all these other things that you're not, all these other things that you should have done, all these other things, that take you away from that direction. And what I'm realizing, I think, is that as this energy is purging and clearing us of it, um, sometimes this voice gets a little louder and is kind of standing up and throwing a little temper tantrum right now because it's not getting heard en masse. So there's kind of this like ego panic thing of this drowning ego because it won't be supported anymore. So it really is trying to pop up right now, grab our attention. But there's a realization as well with this continued work that that voice isn't our authentic self, that it's just like what I saw was this crow that every time you're enjoying doing something and you're really in this creative moment, all of a sudden this crow wants to come out and steal away this seed of creativity.
mhm.
We'll get this spontaneous creative idea of, wow, what if we do this? What if we make that? What if we be that? And then that crow wants to come in and gobble that seed up as fast as it can before you have a chance to really look and grow this, what is a divine seed of inspiration. And it wants to take it away and tell you all the reasons why, what, you'll never grow that seed anyways. You couldn't do anything with that seed even if you wanted to, and no one would listen to your seed. And and on and on and on it goes.
Mhm.
And what we have to realize now is I realize that this crow isn't even real anymore. It's just this like animatronic broken down box now squawking the same old BS, because the real crow couldn't even state it was like, you're not listening to me anyways. I'm not getting fed anymore by your energy. So off it goes and tries to plant this fake voice in our head now that isn't even real. And I think it's really up to us now to start to see the hollowness of that voice squawking at us. So because it seems to want to come out these last couple weeks, and I think people are questioning whether or not, and it can take you down into the depression, and question those ideas and why they're doing what they're doing. But remember, it's not real. It's not you. It's just a broken down record that's losing its power. So, it's
being purged.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it is dying off and going away. So, I think what I've tried to do, the trick I've tried to do, is that when I actually do hear the voice popping up, is just the awareness and recognition. Nope, you're not, that's not my divine self. Nope, that is not making me satisfied, like Abraham Hicks was talking about today. That really helped me put those connections together as well. Is that a satisfying thought? No. Gone.
It's almost like a cop out. And like you said, if you just engage the left brain, I mean, you can feel it in your heart too, but just think about it, just analyze it, and you can say, okay, what should I do? Should I follow my heart, or should I just quit and go back and, and it's clear what the answer to, was that the devil or the angel on your shoulder talking?
But that voice can try to use logic. It can try to sound logical. It can try to sound practical.
Yeah.
It can try to convince you with reasonable things, right? So, but is it leaving you satisfied? Is it leaving you with happy feelings? Or is it bringing you down to have to be more practical? So beware of the logical tricks that it can use as well in convincing you and in bringing out the list of all the rational reasons, all the logical reasons, and the practical reasons, right? It does like to use that as well. So be wary of those tricks too.
Definitely. And that sort of reminds me of that parable of Jesus. I'm sure it came to other people's mind about the seeds that were planted on soil ground and then the ones on the path, and they came and got pecked away or whatever. And I can't remember the exact thing, but it reminded me of that whole thing, talking about, the seeds. But that was looking at it in sort of a different perspective. But it brought that back to mind, that Jesus parable. So it was kind of cool.
Yeah, I get these pictures, so it's really cool now that I'm learning to edit videos. It's like, oh my goodness, a whole new world. So I'm really starting to. It's been fun now to take sort of the way that I channel information is often through silly little metaphor stories. And so it's been really fun exploring that and putting these pictures to the words of little stories, and hopefully you guys will be enjoying that soon. So it's taking a little extra work, but I'll get faster as I go, and it's a whole learning process for me right now too with that.
Oh, I know. It took me like 3 days to edit that top 10 Mandela effects video, while I was doing the live show, and people just don't realize how long it takes to put all that together. Gosh, it is so time consuming. But on the other hand, it taps into that same part of you that when you're doing art, you know what I mean? It's that same creativeness that's satisfying. So it's not, even though it's a lot of work, it's still satisfying, but it does take a while. Like painting a picture, you're creating this video with moving pictures, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. But you know what? It'll be worth it. And I think it's being part of this process that even Aluna Ash has talked about. And when you can clear that voice, it's amazing the divine inspirations and creative thoughts that can flood in exciting ways. And I do feel that I've been experiencing that. So it's just up to me to keep that fake crow at bay and to just keep plugging away with what feels good and what feels creative and what feels expansive for me, no matter what that crow is saying. So
let's get into symptoms, because it was funny that I got up Sunday after Eileen and I had done the Power of 8 meditation, and it was funny that we both slept I think I slept like 10 hours. She said she slept like 12 hours Saturday night going into Sunday. Or actually, it would have been early because we both went to bed really late. It was a really early Sunday morning, but we slept like the whole beginning of the day because it was just so heavy. It was so tiring. And then you mentioned that that you had been feeling tired. So I'm sure a
It's
lot of people
tiring
were
me out
feeling that.
now. Yeah. See, because that is then like Saturday, I didn't get a lot of sleep because of the amount of energy coming in, and just all these ideas, just all amazing experiences. I had amazing experiences. I've had a lot of amazing experiences with feeling and seeing energy this week, and it's becoming more and more powerful. So, but I think that I got like when you were that tired, Saturday, the nausea and the low back pain and hip pain and everything. That was Friday. Saturday for me was really difficult. It was tiring. And then the previous weekend, and then all through the early week, like Saturday, Sunday, um, I just was having this flood of creative energies and inspiration and sensations, all kinds of fabulous things. And then now it's like now I'm starting to go, okay, time to rest, time to let everything sort of sink in, heal a bit again, and rejuvenate again, because I think the mind was wrung a little dry. But a lot of vision changes to energy through the last week and a half. So with the last wave coming in, I'm really noticing that. So I imagine a lot of other people are too, as well as really strongly feeling the energy now in parts of my bodies, very specifically the hands and the feet always, and the head right here always. The ringing is very loud, sudden bursts with waves as well. But yeah, I mean, some interesting things going on with the magnetospheres, and I think that we feel the results of that as well. It can feel like anxiety at times, fluttering, hollowness up here, or open feeling. Lots of different descriptions in how that can be felt. Headaches too. Definitely.
Definitely. Yeah. I just pulled up the Schumann resonance because it had some really hard hits Sunday, but I'm noticing now, just in the last day, we've had these strong pulses again, these up and down pulses that just only last for a few minutes at a time, it looks like, but it's
But
just
they're tied to what's
strange.
going on with the magnetosphere, though.
Yeah.
They're tied to what we were talking about on WSO, where he shows the graphs of how the energy hits our magnetosphere from the sun. And what's going on right now is it appears that the Earth seems to build up a charge, and then the charge is emitted from the back. You can actually see it sort of bubble out from behind, and then is pulled and sent off somewhere. It's the strangest thing. It's on all the uh, satellite images right now of the graphs of the energy being way off the hook. Way
Yeah.
off the hook. If you
Manipulate it in
think
some
about
way.
solar wind, so a big solar wind coming in at 600, whatever the determination is, I can't remember the actual measurement figure, but if we can understand that 600 on the scale coming in is
From
powerful
the sun, right?
from the sun, what is negative 600 is coming up? Negative. That means that what was powerful going this way is coming at us this way.
Towards the sun. From the other side of us.
Up.
Right. Now that's strange because, while we're in a solar minimum right now, our shields are sort of down quite a
Right.
bit. So it's almost like we have help, outside help that's pushing back that solar wind, maybe with something less harmful, but we're able to see it on the instruments as being a negative number. And, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's
Well,
interesting.
the magnetosphere is definitely weakened right now. It is absolutely so. And we're feeling the results of that with the additional cosmic rays. And this is all part of what what we were expecting, is this energy coming in. But we're, what seemed like woo woo a few months ago. No, the satellite images, all the equipment, everything is picking up and showing the results of the energy that is around us, our planet, at this time. It is there. And in enormous amounts. So it's pretty crazy. And what is going on to have the lines, our flux lines and energy lines being bouncing around and thrown all over the place. There's other objects in our system right now. And there's other energy coming in. It's coming in through our magnetosphere. And we are seeing, so the Schumann resonance shows when we are charging up, when the Earth, right? Because that's the Earth charging up. And it shows us when it's charging up and then it's releasing this charge.
Yeah.
Something
And
is
these
going
little
on.
pulses. Yeah, and these little pulses. And I think it's just
Timely
really,
pulses.
and this is Mr. MBB 333.com. I got his link down in the description below, but you can just come to this website and click on Schumann resonance if you ever want to keep an eye on this, because
and if you want to look into more specifically somebody who studies the additional planetary bodies and what may be going on, WSO is really good for that. Mm-hmm. And he uses a lot of these charts. He uses webcams, a lot of information, and to talk about the other things, the sun simulator, the other bodies. And he uses this information. It's not just, questionable picture. The pictures are not even questionable anymore. And that's the amazing thing. So there is a lot going on around this planet right now, not just on it.
Right. Yeah, definitely exciting times. Mm-hmm. So have you had any dreams in the last week that you'd like to discuss?
I'm having weird experiences that I'm having a hard time finding words for because of the melding between dream and reality. I
understand that.
Yeah. It's almost like, am I just dreaming when I'm asleep, because I'm reaching a state in meditation that is coming in with a clarity associated with dreams that I'm not used to. Can
you explain that better? So you're saying like
in meditation, it's almost like it's like going into, I can feel that sort of fall, but I'm not asleep, I'm meditating, but it's like falling into the world of dream. So I am starting to see things like I would in dreams with such clarity in front of me. It's like closing my eyes, I'm going deep into meditation, and then as I'm sort of going into this dream state, objects, things, I'm not sure what, are coming at me with a very real clarity, almost like if you were to, have a picture and you're narrowed in, and it's like it starts to I notice the clarity of it, and I zone in and it starts to broaden, like if you have it foggy around, and it starts to broaden and expand, but then the shock of what's happening or trying to figure or the realization pulls me back out again. So that's what I'm experiencing. So I'm not noticing so much a difference in my dream state as much as I'm noticing this difference now.
In the meditation state.
Yeah.
I have been noticing the dreamy-like feeling when I'm awake in life. So I'm wondering if it's sort of like is it an indication that being awake is not so much different than being asleep?
I'm wondering if it's the indication of how much actually we're going to be able to bend reality, is what it feels like. It feels like tapping into creating reality. Because we wonder, well, how can we go from here to here? And we're told that we're learning everything to be able to do that. And I'm wondering if we're seeing the effects of that. I'm really starting to see, and I think that the environment responds with synchronicities as well to show how much we actually can manipulate our environment, and that it may really, really be our belief systems. And that as the 3D foundation of belief systems really, truly are falling away, and a new openness in reality and possibilities is becoming our foundation, I'm thinking that we will be seeing flashes of transformation possible. That's what it feels like to me.
Because it is, in a way, it can be dangerous to be so creative if you don't have your thoughts in line, right?
This is what I'm seeing too. It's also showing me, because I thought I cleared all that. But I'm noticing too that, I'm getting some images, but learning detachment. And I keep having this, when it happens, I keep having this song come in, which is Frankie Goes to Hollywood's The Power of Love. And the lines, I'll protect you from the hooded claw, keep the vampires from your door. And it comes in to remind me that I'm completely protected. And then I'm able to release that. And then I start going deeper into meditation and remaining detached from any images. And then when I hit that quiet point, that's when I seem to go slip. And you can literally almost feel it like this. And I've heard a few people talk about that feeling, that slip. I'm feeling that slip at times, even now when I'm doing very meditative things like my artwork, or really focusing peacefully, calmly into the energy, whatever it is in that state. I'm finding this slight shift feeling, like whoop. So
I understand exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, that feeling of something just changed.
something just shifted.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're like, whoa, almost like if when you walk, you're walking on the sidewalk, but one of the pieces of sidewalk just goes down an inch lower or something.
Yeah.
Whoop.
Yeah, and Christopher just brought up a really good point that we haven't touched on yet, and that's the fact that although we talk about how much synchronicities seem to happen, it seems to be happening more and more so often. It's like, gosh, it's just so strange. It almost makes you like, you're like, man, everything just seems so orchestrated. You know what I mean? I think it's just an indicator that we shouldn't really worry about anything. The more I see it happening, the more I'm like, we're in this grand play. We're just playing it out. We got our little parts we got to do. We shouldn't worry about those things that are out of our control, sort of getting sucked into
an orchestra. Maestro.
Yeah.
You're the maestro. Play the music.
Yeah.
Just play the song you want to hear. Just play the song you want to hear. You're the maestro. So I think that everything wants to affirm us to that. The more we accept and realize synchronicities, the more we see them and they're there to support us. The more we believe that we are supported, the more we will see the results of that support. So yeah, just play your music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, because we've got our own world and then we've got the world out there, and it's fun to observe it. But I mean, I notice the more that we talk about anything out there, it's hard to get excited and talk about anything without it causing this division within people.
Yes.
People are so, and I think that's really a different way of a perspective of looking at it is, if you feel so closed-minded about really anything, I think that's sort of an indicator of where you're at. If you're not even open to the possibility of something, not anything specific, but if you're just not even open to the possibility, it shows sort of the limitations you're putting on your reality, doesn't it?
Yeah. And you know what? That is exactly why, because normally I wouldn't get into politics. I wouldn't get into too much of that stuff going on, because there's so much other wonderful things that we can talk about. I absolutely agree. But the reason I did the work with the JFK Jr., possibly being Q, but even more amazingly, possibly really being alive, is that very idea, to show that, to show the openness of possibilities, to show that what, we thought of as possibly like, how would you ever get out of that, or how can we get over that, or how can that, to show that something so amazingly unimaginable could actually really be possible. That's what I really liked about that idea. It wasn't about me proving it to anybody. If it resonated and intrigued you, you can go and find the proof yourself, because that's how it should be done. But it was the concept I really wanted to share, that so much is possible, and things may not be as dark and dreary as you think, and there's so much magic going on behind the scenes.
But isn't that the nature of reality as well? That it's like people that are so sure you're wrong about that can go and prove to themselves that they're right about you being wrong. It's like we're in such control of our reality that, as soon as we think we have something figured out, it's like not just the possibility of something, but just knowing this is how something is, it sort of shuts you off to the grand plan, right? That could possibly be unfolding or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. I think it's really exciting to think about what might be. And anybody most of the people on this channel are experiencing the Mandela effect. And we know, it's named after someone who was supposedly dead and then he was alive again. So we've seen it over and over again, Billy Graham, and and maybe, we might wake up one day and it's like JFK Jr.'s alive and they're like, what plane crash? He never died in a plane crash. What are you talking about? We don't know how this is going to play out. You know what I mean? I'm just throwing stuff out there, but that's within my realm of possibility.
Well, seriously, like, you know what? Maybe before we were in the realm of possibilities where he wasn't, and now he is. Like, who knows? But, and you know what the key is to releasing these ideas and letting them come up and experience them and release them, is not to be attached to, like you said, somebody else could, go and take the time to find all the proof to show that I'm wrong and they're right. And make a big deal out of that. It's really important to be prepared, for me putting that information out, that I had no attachment to that. I'm perfectly happy for them to go out and find all the evidence that I'm wrong. That's okay. To really be okay with that. And that's something you've really helped me learn over, the last few months as well. It could be a difficult transition. And I think a lot of us may experience this when we're like, oh, I really believe this. I have this idea, and then somebody, boom, comes right in to pop in and tell you, all the reasons why you're wrong. And then you want to go back and you want to be like, no, you're wrong because of this, this, and this. And, you shouldn't question me, and back and forth we go. Right. But to just be able to let it go, to just be able to be, okay, great.
Or even be like, you might be right. But they're not willing to do that.
That's okay. Let it go, and just keep moving on. And try not to stay too focused, or you're funny today. He messages me. He's like, okay, time to come on out of that rabbit hole. I'm just washing off the dirt.
Yeah, they are fun.
Yeah, but you have to remember to come out of that rabbit hole and go look at another one. And, and you can go get dirty for a bit and say, wow, this is neat and that, but let's not get too attached and live down there. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. You don't want to stay underground.
But you should stay in that frame mind of seeking, always seeking, and that's sort of the point, you know. If you're sort of stagnant in a worldview that's like, I've got it all figured out, and then you sort of get, you know, like there's nothing I can do about it, and this is just how it is, and it's just sort of a gloomy, pessimistic way of looking at things, opposed to I've got so much to figure out, so many unanswered questions. Let's see what I can answer. Let's imagine the possibilities of where this might go. It's a completely different frame of mind. And that's where the whole unbiased on the fence thing comes about. You know, it's like staying open-minded to, wow, that's interesting to imagine. Maybe it is that way. You know, nobody knows, or we wouldn't be debating about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And what's right for me could be wrong for you. But
Oh,
it's
yeah.
fun to, you know, to be kids playing with marbles.
Yeah.
I'd rather be doing that. Yeah. And say, you know, wow, this one's cool. Oh, you got that one, you know, that's great. And it allows you to just keep rolling with it and rolling with the changes and the different curiosities that we see. And I think that's what'll bring the magic back in, you know. So
Yeah. Sending to being says the difference of persons' realities is just the straightening of timelines, the removal of kinks in a quantum string. And we must not use the word difficult, but the word challenging. Okay, that's good. Yeah, definitely could be, you know?
yeah. Yeah. I find
That's
it
one of
very
those things.
challenging to remember not to use the word difficult.
Yeah,
But I'll get
exciting.
but I'll get there.
Yeah, I was playing this game the other day with my kids, and you know, they were just stomping me or whatever. I'm like, you know, it would be a lot funner if I had the chance or even the possibility of beating you guys. Let's change up the rules a little bit to where, you know, because it's not fun if it's just easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, you want a little bit of a challenge there. Games that are like, you're like, I got it figured out. And you just go on and you go download another app. If it's like a game on the phone or something, if it's too easy, it's not fun. I mean,
Yeah.
it's part of our nature to want the challenge of
We
it all.
challenge because that's how we expand, because we have to stretch in order to overcome and achieve, right? And so we expand, to be challenged more, to expand more, because that is what we want to do. We want to expand, and to really expand, you know. Yeah, it's you have to you know, it's got to be a push, right? You got to stretch. So, but we also want to do it at a comfortable pace.
Yeah, preliminal prelim. I love that tongue twister. I can't ever get it right. Preliminal. It says, "I'm depressed since 1969. This world was never fun to me." And I'd say, do what I just did with my kids, because you know they were stomping me. It wasn't very much fun for me, and even though they were winning, it got old for them too. You got to change up the rules a little bit. You got to
Yeah,
make it fun. What can you do to change up the rules to, you know, pull yourself out? Because no one's going to pull yourself out except for you. You are in complete control as to whether you stay depressed or not, really, honestly.
and that, you know what, that's what I realized. You know, when you talk about going back to, you know, just doing the job and everything, but I realized a couple of years ago that if I kept trying to play by the rules that everybody told me that's the way you have to play, um, I I I would get sick. I wouldn't be happy. I would be depressed, um, and probably wouldn't live that long because of it. And you know, that decision was, you know, eventually kind of taken away from me in order so that I could see that that was, you know, that was the result. By living by society's rules of how you play the game did not lead to my health, wealth, and happiness at all. And so I had to make my own rules. And that's what I've been doing the last 2 years. And it's important for all of us to figure out what are the rules for our happiness, not our survival, for our joy, right? And
Yeah.
all will follow. Hmm.
I think, you know, and I've done this several times in life. It's like, you know, you sort of want to start a new chapter somehow. So you do something really drastic, like move to another city across the country. You're like, you know what? I'm just going to move to this other place and live there for a while. Or, you know, you put your 2-week notice in. I'm not giving you guys suggestions here. I'm just telling you things I've done, you know, just something that's just so out of just the cycle, the regular old grind that you're in. So I can't really tell you what to do preliminal, but you can, you know, ask for help, ask for guidance on what you can do to change up the game for yourself.
And
Because you're only stuck because you feel stuck, but you don't have to feel that way.
Sorry. Start asking what makes you happy, not what makes you depressed. You know, if you keep saying I've been depressed since, you're just reaffirming your story over and over and over. And you know, make it up, make it a better story.
Yeah,
and
he says
it feels like you're pretending a bit at first. Just give it a try.
They say they feel stuck. So what would you say that they can do? Do you have any advice for preliminal?
That you're stuck because your life, your higher self, you want to change. There is something that you know you want to change. And everything is by your choice. You are only as stuck as you actually allow yourself to be. And remember, it's really your crow that's got that whole list of buts. But this, but that, but this, but that. That's up to you to accept that list. You don't have to. You may very well need to change the complete parameters of your life. And your being stuck, unfortunately, is your choice.
Yeah, and you know they're saying I've been constantly trying to change my story and outlook all along. So is that getting into, like, you hear people say that, you know, trying and doing are two different things. It's like step out of your comfort zone, maybe, I would say. Mm-hmm. Step out of your comfort zone and do something you've never tried before, maybe.
Are you going to say I am or I was?
Right.
I am that. I am right now. All you have is right now. Not 2 minutes ago, not 5 years ago, not in 1969. It's right now. So you have got to change your dialogue. And it does start with that.
Because I think a lot of people feel exactly like preliminal is saying.
I know.
They feel stuck where they're at. But really, you know, and I felt that way. And
I've been there.
I would recommend you check out my playlist for the I Am discourse. I would say that was the single most helpful thing for me personally, with realizing that, oh my gosh, like everything is completely in my control. When somebody comes up to me, no matter what they say, they could spew the most hateful speech at me. And it's really up to me how I respond. I can get really angry at that, or I can just be like, wow, they're kind of weird. You know, why would they just come up and say that to me? You can have a completely different response. Somebody could laugh at it. It could be so funny because it's so out from left field.
Yeah.
Really, it all came with that epiphany I had when I was in the shower, like in like 2011, 2012, somewhere around in there. And the water went really cold because someone turned on the hot water somewhere else in the house. And I'm like dancing around and like, I'm really angry about it. Right. I'm like, who's, you know, and then I just had this epiphany, right. Where like, I saw myself like peeking over the curtain and at how funny I must look like dancing. Right. And then I immediately went from being angry about the cold water to laughing at myself from the third person point of view. So how did I have something so, and I saw this happen with my son. He's playing this video game. He got so angry somebody killed him in the game. And then he finds out it's this famous streamer that killed him. And then he was so happy, like, oh my gosh, I got killed by so-and-so. It's like, I'm like, son, see how nothing changed except your perspective on it. I'm like, you were so angry a moment ago that you got killed by this guy, trying to look to see if he cheated. That's how I actually found out it was a famous guy, because he went back and watched the replay. He's like, that guy was cheating. He had to be cheating, but he was like a famous streamer. Then he runs back in a few minutes later, goes, that was the real so-and-so. And I was on the stream, and he felt famous for a moment because he got killed on this guy's live stream and stuff. And You know what I mean? But I use that as like one of those teaching moments. I'm like,
Yeah,
see how one moment, just your
yeah.
perspective shifted, and you went from being super angry about this to being super happy, and now he like likes that guy more than he ever liked him because he killed him in the game. You know,
Hmm.
so it really is one of those things that it's like a lot of times all you have to do is shift your perspective and
Yeah.
ask for help on how to do that.
Well, I'll share a story with you because it end of this month it'll be 2 years, and 2 years ago I was burnt out. I was done. I was not happy, and I did not know how to be happy. I did not know how to find my happiness, and I felt stuck. I felt stuck in everything. All of a sudden, I had a moment where I actually realized certain things did shift enough in my life where I realized that I could walk away from everything. And I want you all to know that I lost everything. Um, everything. And I started over. And it was not easy, but now I have everything. And sometimes it's we when we think we're stuck, don't think that I don't understand because I have been there. But I was willing enough to fight for my own happiness in how I wanted to live my life, that I was willing to lose every material thing in order to find what was real. And I have spent the last 2 years doing that and working diligently every day. And, even a year ago when I moved into this place, that was another big step, of getting to that plateau of happiness and finally being able to get a place together with my oldest, which we'd been wanting to do the year before. It, and just walking around going, wow, look at what we have. But I had to be willing to get rid of everything that was weighing me down and holding me back from being free to live the life of happiness that I wanted to live. And what seemed or could have seemed like a high price or a high price before that made me think I was stuck was the key to my freedom. And I encourage you all to think about what it is you really want to feel to be happy and how stuck you really are. What's making you stuck? And is it something that you can be willing to give up for your own happiness?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely would say once you sort of find your purpose or what you feel like you're meant to be doing,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just act out on it, how even if it seems impossible, it's just so satisfying on a
Yeah,
level that, even money can't. That's why, you see rich people are dealing with the same thing because, you know, how if a lot of times we're in this state of mind, you think, well, if I just had money and I wasn't struggling, things wouldn't be like this. But that's not true because we see rich people all the time, you know, commit
mm-hmm.
suicide or just give up, And if money was the answer, it's just that they don't feel like they're serving their purpose. And think of how much more depressing it would be if you always thought, if I just had money. Then you get money, and then you realize, I still don't feel fulfilled. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, they're trading in their wives for a newer version.
Right.
What happens to the old one? Yeah, yeah. You know what? It's not the key, but I think that if you can be willing to let those material things go, and what kept me going through that process too was checking in every day and putting my drops in the bucket spiritually, doing the work spiritually to focus on my happiness, and knowing that it doesn't happen just like that, but with every drop in the bucket, it fills and you have more, where you can be a year later and 2 years later and be like, wow, look, I did get through all that. I kept putting those drops in the bucket that led to my happiness to bring me where I am, and you can get there.
Definitely. I'm going to have, let me see. I was trying to get the date. Oh, yeah, it is tomorrow. Getting a little bit of echo. Let's see. Check 1, 2. Okay, that's better. Debbie's going to be on tomorrow. Debbie Hazelton. She's the motivational speaker. So we will revisit this topic with her tomorrow because I'm sure she will definitely have some great advice. And I should have checked the time while I'm looking at it. Sorry about that. It's going to be tomorrow at, come on, slow phone. I know it's tomorrow afternoon. Let me get the exact time now. 1 p.m. Central, so that's going to be 2 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be noon Mountain, or 11 if you're on the Pacific coast. And you can do the math from there if you're overseas. Yeah, I think that's actually, if you're, it's British time, I think that would be 7 p.m. So I think that would be 8 UTC, or it's an hour difference from UK time. So it's hard to keep up with all the time zones. I'm getting better, though.
I'm remembering to ask. I mean, I know I've got notes everywhere in time zones. But it's an amazing thing to be able to be reaching people all over the world to do readings with. Wow, that's just been such a wonderful experience. So yeah, if you email me, if you guys would like to join in and share a reading with me, you can email me at wolfe.art101 at gmail.com. So yeah, I've been having so much fun with that. It's like a whole new world to be able to do readings for people.
No, it's actually Wolfe. I've never dot art 101, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. At Gmail.
Mm-hmm. And check out my new edited videos. My 2 edited videos I've done. After only having an iPad all these years, and I finally have a laptop, and then getting used to it and everything. And so yeah, I had so much fun. Took a little while, but yeah, I'm learning it. And the second one was a lot of fun too. I spent about 2 days working on it, but once I got it, I was like, oh, I did it.
Yeah.
I actually did it. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I do have your channel below. I think Michelle's opinions she just pasted it in the chat as well. So
awesome. Thanks.
Also I had still getting an echo here. Hold on a second. It was Pam and Daryl had sent me a link to this clip of this boy that was talking about, going to the new world or whatever. And I put this link down below as well, but I'll just play just a second of it here so you can hear him talking about it.
You were so far away in this world because me and Daddy drove here.
I know.
And you didn't be there.
Mm-mm.
And me and Daddy were just there.
You were.
We were in a new space and outer space world.
You was.
We flew here into this new world.
You did.
Because the old world is where the old world in outer space. We fly into that world, then it brings us into Captain Toad place.
It does.
Yes.
All right, so he's talking about going to another world, and pretty interesting. He even gets into these exercises or something that you do to activate your powers or something.
Your superpowers.
Yeah. Anyway, it was so cute, and
little voice. Mm-hmm.
Is it just was he getting visions and he's explaining it the best way he can in little kid terms or something? But I think, and I've seen other instances like this, but I put that link below because they shared it with me, and I thought I would share it with you all as well.
Well, I liked it because for me, for my dreams, I was like, I saw it going through space. That's how I saw it. So I thought it was cute, seeing little guy, we go through space. Yeah, I did too. So I think a lot of us see it in so many different ways, and it could really play out in so many different ways. But it's always fun when you come across somebody who's really experienced something you have, no matter what age they are, right?
You're right, and just to hear them explain it in the best way they can, from little kid terms. Yeah.
Yeah.
He made me excited, so he's cute as can be.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I guess we can wrap this up and pick up next week. I'm sure we'll have some interesting things to talk about.
I imagine we will. Yes. I don't think things are slowing down. I think this train is just getting faster and faster. So we just got to remember to take a break, take that rest when you need it. And keep taking care of yourself. So it's big transformations we're going through now. It requires a lot of energy, so don't be hard on yourself. And I think your point is really good. Remember to laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
Laugh
That's
at
funny.
yourself.
Yeah, when you can get in that third person point of view and just sort of laugh at yourself, even if you're kind of getting in an argument or something, or having someone, just that third person point of view works for really any situation. Because think about it, when you see two other people arguing, unless you sort of hop into one of their shoes, you're just sort of like, wow, what's going to happen here? And, you're looking at it from a third person point of view. So if you can do that with yourself, it is extremely helpful.
That's a great tool. It really is. Just step outside yourself for a second. Yeah.
Take that higher view of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is that higher perspective. And I think that's the detachment really that they talk about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't have emotions and feelings, but you want to be able to detach enough from it to be able to be an objective observer, to be able to see, is that really how I want to be or portray myself, or how am I behaving right now? Yeah, it's a good way to do it.
Right. I wonder how ridiculous I look right now. So, yeah. So, and that gets into the other thing that we talk about we've talked about with meditation, when you're like meditating and then you sort of take a view of a perspective where you're seeing yourself meditating, and then you try to go back again and see that person observing the person that's observing the meditator. And
that's right.
Yeah.
Bigger and bigger hill. Yeah, I really like that one. You get out of the car, go sit on the hill, and then you're watching yourself. Yeah, that's great. You just then that's it. You just keep taking that sort of step back and refocus. And it's okay that voice hops in there and starts going, blah, 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 again. And you're like, yeah, I see you. Okay. And back. It really, it's just a way to train, so don't be discouraged by meditation because you think, oh, I can't focus. No, it's okay. Your awareness of not being able to is key here. Your awareness that the you drift off is how you learn to do it. So, you just go, no, I see you, back you go. And it'll keep popping in, but that's okay. And that's how you get used to it and teach yourself. So,
Yeah, I totally agree. And just so Christopher, I wanted to answer that question really fast. The new Magenta Pixie book is awesome. Actually, you can review quite a bit of it for free online. I think I want to say Amazon maybe or something, or maybe it's on the site. I can't remember where I read it, but you can review like a couple of chapters of it for free. And I think most people would be hooked and want to get the whole book, because I found a lot of synchronicities and confirmations with my own journey and the information I've been receiving, that knowings and things like that. So I think it's really great. And we will follow up with her next week. Magenta Pixie will be on, I believe. I'll have to come up with a date, but I believe it is a week from tomorrow. Don't quote me on that. I will let you guys know tomorrow. And real excited about that. So until next week, thanks for coming on.
Always love it.
Lots of love and light to everybody in the chat and watching later. And we'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.